Hi folks, welcome back to the bench. Today we've got a very special video. We've got this beautiful Fender Strat on the bench that one of our customers has very kindly let us document. We're going to be doing a full setup process, and I mean full process. We're going to be covering truss rods and intonation, bridge radiuses, pickup heights, nut cutting, absolutely everything that you need to do a thorough and full process of setting up. You're about to learn. Let's get started. Okay then guys, as always, we're going to start with our truss rod. We've done this a few times on the channel and we've shown you various methods. We're going to use two today. The first will be the most accurate and the way I would recommend doing it for perfect clarity, and numerically we're going to know where we are. These gauges will tell us to the thousandth of an inch or millimetres or however you like to measure it yourself, and this will be the most accurate way that we can do it. If you haven't got these, that doesn't matter, because option two, we're going to use our fingers and we're going to have to eyeball it very slightly. It will be a little bit more suck it and see, but there are two methods for this, so don't worry if you haven't got any tools at hand of gauges. It will speed the process up, but we're going to show you both ways. Let's zoom in for a close-up. We'll start with our gauges and then we'll talk a little bit about our truss rod adjustments and the best methods to do this. So we first of all got our plectrum just pressing down our first fret. I'm going to now pin down the string. You'll have seen that drop very slightly. And here we've got quite a substantial gap. The string is nowhere near that gauge. Our second method is not too dissimilar from the first. Our plectrum will still hold down the first fret. I'm going to pin down the sort of 12th or 13th fret. Our guide earlier was a little bit more visual. We're going to have to eyeball this, and we're looking for a small bounce. We don't want a trampoline style bounce, but just a little one. We know there's too much space at the moment. We're going to zoom in and you can see what we're talking about. And as you can see, we've got absolutely plenty of bounce there, and that's a lot more than we perhaps need. So let's make that adjustment. For our truss rod adjustment, it's important to do this in very small increments. Over the time of confidence and experience with it, you will gauge how much you can move these. Little and often is always the best approach. Even I myself, after years of doing this, you don't know the history of the guitar. If it's a brand new one, obviously it's a brand new guitar, but any pre-loved items, we don't know how they've been treated, have they had previous work on, so it's always important to do this slowly. I'm going to make a couple of adjustments and then we're going to re-measure. It looked quite far away, so I'm going to do probably 2 or 3 turns of the truss rod and let's see where we go. The right size Allen key is a must. Do not start shoving anything in. If you do get stuck for measurements, look on the manufacturer's website, speak to a local guitar tech. It's important to use the right one. I'm going to make a little adjustment now. So in we go, and you'll feel as this moves, so that's quite loose. Second one, that's starting to bind. I can feel that a little bit there. That's starting to tighten up. That should be about right. And to retest this, we have now got the string perfect height. Our gauge fits underneath and we've got just a very minor bounce. Okay then guys, it's time to do our bridge radius, which we're going to use a few tools to help us. The bridge radius is effectively following the curvature of our neck, and we're going to set this down at the bridge section. We'll be zooming in just a moment. We need to ascertain which value we need. They come in assortments. We've got 9.5 and 10-inch radius and 20. We now need our selected one. We're going to position this across the bridge and ensure that the line of our radius matches that of our nut and neck. If you don't know your radius, do consult your manual, manufacturer's websites, or obviously let us know and we can help you out. I'm going to make that adjustment now. We're going to show you how we use these. So we're going to be using a 9.5-inch radius for this, as per the stats of what the guitar is. And we're effectively wanting this bridge section to line up correctly. At the moment, we've got some strings muted, some that are ringing, and this has not been set to the angle of this. I'm going to do this in small increments again and just re-measure back and forth. We're going to be using our saddle screws here to raise and lower, and once we fit this across the board with the true radius of 9.5, we will then be set. So now we've got our saddles all set to the correct radius, we can concentrate on the height of them. That's going to determine how far the strings are away from the board. Slightly higher action is a little bit harder to press and harder to play, but you'll get a bit more sustain. Lower action, much easier to fret and press. We do risk some fret buzz if we're too low, but this is where each player is individual. You might like a higher or a lower action. I'm going to use my card to assess where the guitar is, and as per our customer instructions, he's set how he wants his action. I'm going to show you how we do that now. Right then guys, as we can see, we've currently got, here's my pointy tool for reference, we've got just north of 2 mil at our low E string. 1.9 would be considered high, so we're already past our highest point of where we'd like to be. We're going to try and aim to get this down at about 1.5 on our low E string, so we're going to reduce the saddles down now, carrying on with our radius setting to ensure it's still level across the board, and hopefully we'll end up with something like that. So that's what it currently is. We're going to make those adjustments now. Bit of a bonus tip here as well, folks, a bit of tape or shrink wrap around the right sized adjuster. You'll know what guitar it belongs to instead of having to hunt through your toolbox. So we're going to adjust these now to make sure it fits our radius correctly. I'm going to do that now, and that is absolutely perfect. We can now move on to our next stage. So now that we've taken our bridge section and got that how we like it, we're going to now talk about the tremolo arm. Some use it, some don't. It's very popular for people that want to go wah wah wah. That's my tremolo impression. We're going to have a look at how the bridge is currently set, which I think is probably going to be too low to use this. And we're going to show you how we make an adjustment, and then we can get it at whatever level you as a player want. But if we show you the adjustment process, you can then tweak to see what you do and don't like. Let us know in the comments. Are you a trem player or are you not? Answers below, or above, or wherever the comments are. Let's zoom in. So we just need to take our back plate off, and then you'll be able to see in all its glory our bridge section. So effectively, these two screws here are pulling our bridge back. The strings on the front of the guitar are pulling our bridge forward. We've just got to find that happy medium. You can now see us adjust it, just a few turns, and we'll see what effect that has on our bridge. And that looks much better. We've now got plenty of room to bring the bridge up and down, so we can use our tremolo arm, and that will now move back and forth with ease. Right guys, we've got the easiest game of spot the difference. You'll notice we now have a rosewood Fender on the bench. The guitar that we were working on, the customer has now had that back and he was very happy. There were some slight interruptions during filming and we couldn't get everything documented in time. So we've got our stunt double who's now going to join us for the rest of the video. Everything has been done with what you have seen up to yet, and the rest of the setup video will now take place on this one. The magic of cinema. The last part of our bridge adjustments is now going to be our intonation section. It's an important factor for ensuring the guitar's in tune all the way through. Yes, we can tune at the top and our open strings are wonderful. As we start to fret further down the board, if we haven't got our intonation set, you are going to hear discrepancies with the tuning. We're going to show you how we do that process now. Once again, small increments. I know I need it tattooed on me. Very, very small. This can make a huge difference in your playing, and a big adjustment can throw you out one way or another. I've also just found 5 minutes for a quick haircut. We will now carry on. For this section, there are two tuners I'm going to point to here. We've got our clip-on tuner, which is wonderful for tuning our strings generically and making sure that we're in tune. It's not advised to use this for our intonation setup. We're going to use the item at the back here, which is our pedal tuner. It's a much more intricate and precise pedal, and it will give us a much more variable look at our intonation, where it's set and where we need to go. In an emergency situation, this would suffice, but long term, a pedal tuner or a strobe tuner would be my advice for the most accurate results. As you can see, the string is in tune. I'm now going to show you using the pedal tuner how we check to see where we are. Let's now try our 12th fret on the E. And as we saw a moment ago, we were slightly sharp on our high E string now. I'm going to make the adjustment on the saddle, and then let's see if we've corrected our intonation. We're going to be adjusting our saddles. We know on the tuner that we are quite sharp. These outside screws here control the push and pull of our saddle, so we're able to shorten and lengthen the string. In turn, we're going to make an adjustment to our outside one, our high E string, and I'm going to pull that back very slightly. It was quite sharp on our tuner, but again, small increments. Do be careful when doing this, it is easy to slip and mark the guitar. Little piece of masking tape is often advised. I'm just making a small adjustment now, so I'm going to do this very, very carefully. I'm going to pull that back a few turns, retune, and let's remeasure. Perfect. And with our E string done, we can now repeat the process from the B across to our low E string, ensuring that we've took the time to check the measurements back and forth and make the correct adjustments along the way. With that now done, we can concentrate on the next section, which will be our nut cutting. For our nut cut section, it's important that we take the precise care to ensure these grooves are cut in accordance with string height to allow for any potential buzzing. It's also important that now we've intonated the bottom end of our string, that we do exactly the same at the top. If we have our strings coming from our nut to the string posts and they are at the incorrect levels and depths and angles, they can cause tuning stability issues and intonation issues. So we're going to show you the process now and zoom in. Small increments once again, we're at the final stages, and join me for this last step. So what we're aiming for here is to have no bounce with our gauge in situ. And as you can see there, we've got a slight bounce on our low E string. We're going to make the cut now on this particular string to see if we can reduce the string height down to where it is just sitting on top of our gauge instead of a bounce. Okay then guys, so we're going to start by loosening off our low E string. And it's important to use the right file for the right nut. We don't want to be overcutting and undercutting, as it's going to be very problematic if we start that. With the file, we're going to aim to keep it at a very slight downward angle and be very careful not to damage the finish. A bit of tape, a bit of protection is never a bad thing. I'm going to do a few passes now back and forth. So I'm going to go to and from, and then we're going to remeasure just to see if we are in line. And that is absolutely perfect. No bounce whatsoever. We will now repeat the process with the various gauges across the rest of the strings, and then we can head over to the final section. Pickup heights, a hugely important part that often gets missed out on a setup. It controls our volume output, our tonal variation, and we can really dial in creative tones with more bass side or more treble sides. Let's zoom in, show you how we do ours, and then you can do yours. We will be controlling the pickup heights with our outer screws, both this side and that side, so we can have our treble or our bass. I've got my gauge here, and I can then control to the millimetre, or however you want to measure it yourselves, the different heights. I'll give you an example now. I'm going to raise this pickup very slightly, and you'll see the magnets are starting to come a little bit closer to our strings. I'll do the same the other end. And this can be such a varied part of the setup. If we go too close, we can have issues with intonation, as the magnets can pull on the strings. But for this, have a little bit of an experiment. Take your bass side up or drop your treble side down and see how it goes. I tend to work on about 2.2 mil from the pickup to the magnets and our strings. But you can try your own thing. So I've got just north of 2.4 there. I'm going to just raise it a fraction more. And then I think I'll be happy with my particular setup. I'll repeat this now across the board. Have a go and see what tones you can dial in. And there we have it, folks. One setup all done and sorted. Well done. You've covered a lot today. We've done truss rods. We've covered the bridge radius, saddle heights, intonation, nut cutting. We've packed a lot in today. Whether you have a go yourself or use a qualified guitar tech, at least you can appreciate what goes into making the guitar play even better than it perhaps would do out the box. Every setup is personalised, and we have discussed this, but you now know the order of which we will go in, and keeping that seesaw balanced, it is important. We don't want to cut the nut before we've done the saddle height. We don't want to do our intonation before we've done the truss rod, and just follow that process. As always, thank you very much for joining us. Any comments, questions, tips and tricks you've got yourself, do share them with us in the comment section above, below. I don't know where the comments are. I will find out one day. Thank you very much for your time. I'm Jamie, your local tech, and as I always say, another day, another guitar. See you soon.